Hi everyone. So I'm going to post a series of lectures on op-amp circuit analysis. So since some of you requested for it, I thought I'll post some lectures how to solve problems on op-amps. So in the first lecture, I'll just quickly tell you how to solve op-amp circuits when there is both negative and positive feedbacks. I have already discussed this, but I'll take some very simple problems so that you can just, it'll serve as a good refresher for you guys. So shown here is a circuit. You're supposed to find the transfer function of the circuit. Now, there are many ways of analyzing the circuit, but we'll look at some very simple methods to find how to analyze circuits which has both positive and negative feedbacks. So if you see here, output is being fed back to the positive terminal here, and output is being fed back to the negative terminal as well. So which means there is both positive and negative feedback. So you'll have to find out which is dominating. If the negative feedback is dominating, then we know how to analyze the circuit. We know that the negative and the positive terminal voltages will follow each other. Based on that, we can very easily do the analysis. Now, if that doesn't happen, if it turns out the positive feedback is more than the negative feedback, in that cases, you can no longer use these conditions where V plus will no longer be equal to V minus. And there are some specific circuits called Schmitt triggers, comparators. There are a host of circuits which use this positive feedback, op amp and positive feedback. We'll discuss that at a later stage. But right now, in this circuit, there is both positive and negative feedback, and you're supposed to find the transfer function. So, if you see the circuit here, so how do I find the which whether positive or negative feedback is more? So you have to short your input, and then see. In the next problem, I'll introduce a more generalized procedure. But right now, I'll increase this node voltage. I'll probably choose to break this loop at this point. So what I've done here is that I've broken the loop and I'm increasing this node voltage by delta V. If I increase this node voltage by delta V, now at the input of the op amp, no current flows through that. So because the input impedance is infinity for an op amp. So therefore, this delta V will appear here as it is. But on the positive feedback side, since there is a potential division, so you will have delta V by 2. So now if you see, since the negative feedback quantity is larger, so you can say this circuit is in negative feedback. So now we'll keep this point in mind and analyze the circuit. If the output voltage is V0, since the same condition holds true even in the presence of input, which is the input current flowing into the op amp is 0. So therefore the voltage across this resistor will be 0. So which means if this node is at V0, this inverting terminal voltage will also be at V0. And the non-inverting terminal will also be at V0. So if this node is at V0, if you see the current flowing through this resistor will also be 0. So this is at V0, this here is at V0. So the current flowing through the resistor is also 0. Since the current flowing through this resistor is 0, the current flowing through this resistor will also be 0. So therefore, I can say V0 is equal to Vi. So this circuit actually behaves like a voltage follower. So now the next question is there some other way of analyzing this? So we can, actually there is, well, we can analyze it in different ways. So one way of analyzing is, I can keep this as an input part and try to find out what is the looking in impedance at this node with feedback present. Feedback is also present, and we'll try to find out what is the impedance looking in. So previously, just to refresh your memory, I had discussed circuits like this, where we've tried to find out the looking in impedance, and I said using Miller's theorem, you can say it is R by 1 plus A, and if A tends to infinity, the impedance seen here will be 0. But now in this circuit, we are finding out the impedance at the non-inverting terminal. It's fed back at this point, and there is a strong feedback, a negative feedback in the inverting terminal, on the inverting terminal. So now to find the input impedance, I'm going to apply a voltage here and try to measure the current. If you see, since I'm driving this node with a voltage, so there is no positive feedback. So because I'm driving it with a voltage source, so there is no feedback to this node. I mean, because it's ideal voltage source, it it will not let this node voltage change. So there is only negative feedback. Since there is negative feedback, so I can assume, since there is only negative feedback, the positive and inverting terminals will follow each other. So which means I can assume this node voltage will be a delta V. So this will also be a delta V because no current flows through R. So which means the current that's flowing through the resistor is zero. So therefore, what is happening here, if you look at it carefully, even here Miller's theorem works, but I have a situation like this. I have a resistor between 2 points and the voltage gain between this point and this point. So this is like a buffer. So this voltage gain is 1. Okay. So this part, the voltage gain is A times delta V, but A here is 1. So therefore, the looking in impedance is R upon 1 minus A. So if you have a positive gain here, it's 1 minus A. So this term will be infinity if A is 1. So that's how you actually see infinite impedance at this point. So because you see infinite impedance, you have a resistor Vi here, and this impedance is infinity, so this node will also come to Vi. So this node will also come to Vi. So once this node comes to Vi, this node will also come to Vi. Now since no current flows to this resistor, the output node will also come to Vi. And again, no current flows through this, so everything is satisfied. So this is one way of analyzing the circuit. Now we'll slightly complicate this circuit and add a resistor in between. Now I'm going to add a resistance in between the positive and the negative terminals. Now in that case, we'll see what will there be any change in the output, or what kind of response should we expect. Now I'll do a rigorous method, and of course we'll also think about it intuitively. But first I'll do a more rigorous method and try to find out if this loop is negative or positive feedback loop. To do that, we'll first assume the input is 0. Now again the same procedure, I'm going to break this loop here and apply delta V here, delta V here. Okay, delta V and delta V at both the points, and we'll see what is the output. Now there is a resistor in between, so it's going to have an impact on, both these delta V's. To make the analysis simpler, I'll treat them as two identical but independent paths. They're identical paths. The same delta V is being fed here, but identical signals, but I'll treat them as independent voltages. The analysis doesn't, you will get the similar results. So then, if this is delta V, I'll assume this node voltage is at ground. So I'll apply superposition to find out what is V plus and what is V minus. In a negatively feedback system, V minus should be greater than V plus. V minus here should be greater than V plus. This condition should hold true in a negative feedback system. So I'm shorting the input, applying a disturbance at the output, and if I can show that V minus is greater than V plus, then I know the circuit is negative feedback. There is strong negative feedback in the circuit. The moment there is negative feedback in the circuit, then the circuit is extremely simple to analyze. So, but we'll have to show if it's a positively feedback circuit, then we'll have to see what kind of a circuit is this. We may have to draw a DC transfer characteristics. We will not be able to derive a simple transfer function. So first, I'll assume that this here is delta V, and I've made this term 0 here by principle of superposition. So if I apply delta V here, the voltage at V plus is going to be, so you have R and R in series now, R parallel to R divided by R plus R parallel to R times delta V. This is V plus. But if you apply, if you see here, a fraction of this V plus also appears at V minus. And it simply, since these resistors are R and R, it will be just half. At V minus, you are going to have this term here, and a half factor. Similarly, we'll analyze by keeping this term at ground and applying delta V at this point. If you do that, the voltage at this node is now going to be R parallel R will be R by 2 plus R will be 3R by 2. So it will be 3R by 2 upon 3R by 2 plus R times delta V. That will be your V minus. So I am going to add it to this. And again, a fraction of V minus will appear at this node as well, because you have R and R in parallel. So that's going, I mean, it's going to behave like a potential divider here. So that will be R by 2 upon R plus R by 2. So that will be 1/3. Okay. So 1/3 of this term. So that's going to appear here. So you'll have plus 1/3 of this term here. Okay, so this term here will be 3 by 5. So what will you get here is 1 by 5 delta V. And this one here, R parallel to R, will be 2/3 upon 1 plus 2/3. So that will be 2/5. So you will get 2/5 delta V. So you will get 3 by 5 delta V here. And on the negative side, you are going to get 1/5 here plus 3/5 from this term. So you will actually have 4 by 4/5 delta V. So you can clearly see this term, negative terminal, it's greater than V plus. So therefore we can say this is a negative feedback dominates in this op-amp. Okay, so that's one direct way of looking at it. So once you know that, then it's very trivial to analyze it. So this will be at Vi. Once you know that, we have already discussed one very important thing, that if you know a circuit is going to have a negative feedback, then for a finite output, because of bounded input, bounded output stability, for a finite output, the error of the op-amp has to be 0. If the error has to be 0, V plus has to be equal to V minus, which means no current flows through the resistor. So I might as well open circuit this resistor, like I might remove this resistor. So then the circuit is simple, the output will also be equal to Vi. This we have analyzed previously, so the resistor makes no difference. So that's how we can show that when you have both positive and negative feedback, you just have to follow this approach in a systematic way, you will be able to see that. Or even intuitively, I mean, if you have some reasonable, I mean, if you have solved many circuits, you should be able to have a certain level of mastery to immediately see that if you change this node voltage, of course, both negative and the positive terminal voltages are changing. But at the positive terminal, you are loading that node with a resistor R to ground. So which means I can intuitively see whatever transfer functions I'm going to derive to both the terminals, because of this extra resistor loading the positive terminal, you are going to get a slightly lesser transfer function, lesser gain compared to the negative terminal. So using that intuitively, you can say that this circuit will be, I mean, negative feedback will dominate this node. Now let's say I put another resistor R here. In that case, what do you think will happen to the circuit? If there was a resistance R to ground, what do you think would have happened? Can you clearly say that this is a negative feedback circuit? No, right? It's a purely symmetric circuit. See, now if you see, I can draw an axis of symmetry around this point. So which means whatever transfer function you derive to V plus will be same as the transfer function you derive to V minus. So therefore, you can actually show that the circuit actually will not be in feedback anymore. The output is indeterminate. You cannot exactly precisely say what the output will be. Okay, because when negative feedback is equal to positive feedback, see, for op-amp circuits to give you the desired output, They have to be negative feedback. I mean, only then V plus will follow V minus. But the moment when you have positive feedback, this condition will no longer hold true. So Schmidt triggers, comparators, and all the circuits, this condition doesn't hold true. Okay, so that's it. In the upcoming lectures, we will solve a few more circuits on op amps.